Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Very, very good evening to you and welcome to Farage with me tonight, your host Martin Daubney. Coming up on tonight's show, more than 700 police officers will be on duty at Villa Park. You can see their live pictures on your screen as thousands gather and protest ahead of the club's Europa League fixture against the Israeli team Maccabi Tel Aviv. Will be live from Villa Park. And meanwhile, new analysis from the Centre for Migration Control has revealed that the Home Office grossly underestimated the number of migrants settling in the UK after Brexit by, get ready, 1.7 million people. Complete failure. Diane Abbott level of maths. Now, prisoners walking free, foreign sex offenders on the loose. But where is our Prime Minister? Well, of course, he's off on his travels again, this time to Brazil for the COP30 climate agreement. And the Labour Party are praying that a mass tactical voting movement to elect anyone but Farage will keep Reform UK out of Downing Street. But will it work? And the Reform UK-run Staffordshire Council has decided to halt a legacy policy of selling off council-owned farms, arguing that will help younger farmers to step on the ladder and stay there for British food sovereignty. That's an action-packed show, all that to come. But first, here's your latest news headlines with Tatiana Sanchez.
Martin, thank you very much and good evening. The top stories from the GB newsroom. The policing operation underway around the controversial Aston Villa match against Maccabi Tel Aviv is unprecedented, according to Birmingham's police commander. More than 700 police officers are on duty at Villa Park tonight for the Europa League game amid heightened tensions and planned protests. Away fans have been barred from attending over safety concerns, a move Sir Keir Starmer called the wrong decision. The Palestine Solidarity Campaign is staging a protest near the ground, calling for Israel's exclusion from international football. Police say anyone inciting hate or disorder will be dealt with directly as they vow to keep Birmingham safe and welcoming. More than 600 small boat migrants have surged across the English Channel today for the first time in a fortnight, GB News can exclusively reveal. Earlier in the day, 94 migrants had to be rescued by maritime authorities after their boat broke apart 4 miles from the coast at Dunkirk. 3 of those rescued were treated in a French hospital for hypothermia. Just after 8 a.m, the Border Force vessel Defender arrived at Dover Harbour packed out with migrants. GB News Kent producer counted 83 people as they were taken off the vessel and transferred to the migrant processing centre in the harbour. GB News provisional figures put the total so far today at 610. It takes the total arrivals this year to 37,564. That figure is already well above the 36,816 who arrived in the whole of last year. One of the prisoners mistakenly released from Wandsworth Prison has handed himself in 3 days after walking free in error. 35-year-old William Billy Smith was sentenced to 45 months for fraud on Monday, but was accidentally freed just hours later. The mistake sparked an urgent manhunt until Smith arrived at the prison gates this morning, reportedly telling police officers, "I'm the prisoner you're looking for." Deputy Prime Minister David Lammy says he was not equipped with all of the detail about the mistaken release when he appeared at PMQs yesterday. A second manhunt continues for 24-year-old Brahim Kadour Sharif, an Algerian national and convicted sex offender still at large after being wrongly released from Wandsworth Prison on the 29th of October. The government has called the situation utterly unacceptable, with prison governors summoned for crisis talks and tech experts deployed to overhaul what officials describe as the prison system's archaic record-keeping. Downing Street says restoring public confidence is top priority. And the BBC has upheld 20 impartiality complaints over the way presenter Martine Croxall altered a script she was reading live on the BBC News channel, which referred to pregnant people earlier this year. Take a listen.
London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine has released research which says that nearly 600 heat-related deaths are expected in the UK. Malcolm Mystery, who is involved in the research, says that the aged, pregnant people, women, and those with pre-existing health conditions need to take precautions.
The BBC's Executive Complaints Unit said it considered her facial expression as she said this to express a controversial view about trans people. Those are the latest GB News headlines. For now, more from me in an hour.
You can now watch GB News live across the United States of America and the world on Truth Plus. Scan the QR code to find out more, or visit gbnews.com/truth.
Thank you, Tatiana. Shameful scenes on British streets tonight as thousands are gathering at Villa Park tonight ahead of the club's Europa League fixture against the Israeli football team Maccabi Tel Aviv. The match has made international headlines after local authorities said that Maccabi fans will be blocked from attending the game, and West Midlands police classified the fixture as high risk. Now, pro-Palestine groups have called for the match to be banned altogether, despite the Israeli side's fans not being allowed to buy tickets. Well, let's get straight to Villa Park now and join GB News' national reporter Jack Carson. Jack, many people believe the scenes we're seeing there at Villa Park has shamed football, shamed Britain and shamed the entire world. But over to you.
Yeah, we're at the counter-protest now, Martin, where we're just hearing speeches from those who have come here in support of Maccabi Tel Aviv and Israel, given, of course, that safety advisory group decision was that they could not travel. Josh Howie, GB News presenter, joins us now. You've wanted to be here tonight. Tell us why.
I wanted to be here because as soon as they said that the Maccabi Tel Aviv fans couldn't come along, that spoke to me of institutional capture and giving in to the Islamist mob. To say that it starts with Israeli fans, now they want to ban the Israeli team, and then it goes to Jews. So for me as a Jew, when a bully makes some statement about where I can go in my own country, that makes me go, no, I'm going to come here.
Now, they said initially, of course, that side, particularly the local independent MP, Ayub Khan, that he pointed to violence in Amsterdam last year. That was the reason why he supported that decision to not have Maccabi Tel Aviv fans. Is that what you believe the real decision behind it? Because we know across the road they're protesting, that they're saying that they want Israel banned from UEFA.
Yeah, of course it is. It's ideology. It's because it's Jew hate, unfortunately, with the extreme parts of the Muslim community. If you look at what happened last year in Amsterdam, first of all, every game they played since then in Europe, there haven't been any issues. Like, I'm not into football, so I've had to learn all this stuff myself. But what happened last year was a planned Jew hunt in the weeks before, where local Arabs went online and planned this. Had nothing to do. There were no of the Ajax fans involved in it. It was purely attacking Israelis and any Jews who happened to be there. And it has to be. The Home Affairs Committee today have issued a letter to the Birmingham Council, to the West Midlands Police, saying quite clearly, why did you make this decision? Because it isn't based in any facts. There is no threat from why are the people out protesting right now? Thousands of people on the other side of the stadium. There's, what, tens of us here? Not violent. Why are the police here? The police here are to protect us. The police here are to protect other people. It's got nothing to do with football at all.
We know there's 700 officers here. We've seen them from different constabularies. Do you feel safe here, coming here to protest in Birmingham tonight?
I do feel safe. I was scared. My wife didn't want me to come. My friends, my family didn't want me to come. But to keep us safe, it's taken 700 fans. It's taken being put in a pen. We are here behind guarded gates by the police just to be able to exist here as Jews. And my point of coming here was to go, this isn't the UK that I grew up in. This isn't the UK that I want to raise my family in. This isn't the UK. That's not what we're about. We're about tolerance. We're about fairness. And this is not fair.
Now, the Prime Minister and Home Secretary and Home Office tried to get to a point where the Maccabi Tel Aviv fans could come back. That couldn't be reached, and so the decision stood. Do you think more could have been done to allow Maccabi Tel Aviv fans to attend the match here tonight?
Well, absolutely. Look, they put up 700, or I've even heard 1,000 police here today. They would have been easily protected. They would have. I mean, look, there's football games going on all the time. So it's not to do with football. That is the narrative that's being created. The fact is, the Maccabi Tel Aviv fans, they rejected their tickets. They said it's not safe for us to come over here. We don't want to come here. What a damning indictment of this country that another country that we're allies with don't feel safe for their football fans to come here to the UK. Then the Board of Deputies of British Jews, they tried to do a plan with Villa saying, well, look, let's bus in 500 British Jewish fans who can come see the match. They would have just bussed people straight in and out, and Villa ran down the clock to not allow that to happen. So Jews, I know Villa fans who are Jewish who are scared to come today. I know a Villa fan who's not Jewish who defended Jews. He's had death threats. He can't come. Again, this is not what this country is about. And if we don't, frankly, take a stand now at some point, then the mob is just going to incrementally keep on winning. And it's, as I said before, it's creating a no-go zone for Jews now, and it'll be a no-go zone for everyone else tomorrow.
Josh Howie, thank you so much for joining us and giving us his thoughts here, who's come to the Our Fight UK counter-protest here. Of course, at the other side of the stadium, Martin, you've seen the pictures. We brought you it earlier, of course, of those protests happening. We spoke to a couple of the people who have joined that pro-Palestine protest over the other side of the road. Take a listen to what they told us earlier on.
The fact that the barbaric Israeli establishment continues its genocide on our people, and the shameful fact that the likes of Keir Starmer and Shabana Mahmood are actually going against what our lovely West Midlands Police is suggesting. West Midlands Police wanted to stop the fans attending here, not because of us, but because they're a bunch of hooligans, and they had very good intelligence to suggest that. So we are here, we're here for the people. Ahmed Yaqub's here, and we will do this every day, every match, continuously. This is not just something that we're doing today and tomorrow we'll forget.
We know the sentiment of the youth here. And if the far right turn up, which they are planning to do a counter-protest down there, we know the youth in this area, they're not going to just stand there while somebody attacks them. They will defend themselves, and they're not going to stand there while somebody attacks their property. They will defend their property. So it's a different sort of demographic to that of Amsterdam. So let's see, that's why we're here. We want to keep it all peaceful.
So that's the view of those side, Martin, from the other side of the road. But we've seen just in the last hour or so just how tense the atmosphere and the situation is here. One lady was holding aloft a Jewish flag in front of those Palestine protesters, and the police had to seriously bunch up. We know there's obviously, as we just talked about there, 700 police officers here. They had to bunch up to make sure that the protesters couldn't get to her. They started chanting "Free Palestine, death to the IDF." Now, we know the police beforehand had said that they are used to policing these huge football matches and these huge crowds. Of course, we know that there is strain on this force, which is why they've had to be bringing other forces from across the country to ensure they can police these safely and properly tonight. But those police had to get involved when that woman held that Jewish flag in front of those protesters and escort her away. It's clear that with, of course, this kind of protest and the protests on the other side, these people are making their voices heard, but it's certainly a tense atmosphere here tonight, Martin, at the Villa Park Stadium.
Thank you, Jack Carson. Excellent reporting as ever. Please give my regards there to Josh Howie. Please stay safe there at Villa Park. Thank you, Jack Carson. Let's get back to Westminster now, and I'm delighted to be joined in the studio by the chairman of Jewish Villains, that's the Aston Villa Jewish Supporters Club, Elliot Pollock, and also by my panel tonight, and that's GBNews' senior political commentator Nigel Nelson and the former Conservative MP Jane Stevenson. Welcome to you all. Elliot Pollock, I'm going to start with you. I thought Josh Howie there was very pertinent when he said this doesn't feel like it's a protest at all about football. It's a protest against Israel. It's a protest against Jews. And he said this isn't the United Kingdom I recognise. What are your thoughts as an Aston Villa fan seeing what's happening at your beloved Villa Park?
Yeah, it's very sad. Good evening, Martin. A lot of people were discussing whether to go tonight, and the overwhelming emotion was fear. People were scared to go take their kids. I don't think that was accurate. I think 700 police, dogs, horses, drones had that covered. I think the issue for a lot of Jewish supporters was the sadness, as you say, to see a place they associate with largely happy memories, a safe place, to use the modern jargon, was going to be a backdrop to basically a carnival of hate and anti-Semitism, and that would scar the ground almost for them. So that was certainly forefront of my mind as to why I'm here, not there.
We saw there a couple of protagonists, I'm going to be polite with my language, external protagonists on the pro-Palestine side, and they were quite clear in their tone there. They said, we won't stop every match now, every event. We've heard they want the Israeli national team kicked out of international football. They want every Israeli team kicked out of all international tournaments. The Eurovision Song Contest, it's endless. Do you think that the police, the authorities, have made a gross mistake by caving to the mob, because this won't end?
Yeah, it is endless, and I think the protests on a Saturday have also been endless. You have a problem that you have a group of people with almost endless amounts of time to go and protest about something, however distant they feel about it, who are happy to turn out in large numbers every single week as almost an outing, something to do. And you have a news cycle where Israel have traditionally competed in football, in Eurovision. Of course, they're in all these things in the UEFA competitions, because if they were in Asia, none of the teams would play them. So this is very much a second choice. They would much rather be playing teams geographically nearer, and which would be slightly easier for them to, for example, reach a World Cup. But because of discrimination, they're forced into Europe, and they're now saying, we'll throw them out of Europe. Go where then? What's the answer here? This is completely ludicrous.
Could I ask you about the political element to this? The local parliamentarian, independent parliamentarian for Birmingham Perry-Barr, the constituency where Villa Park sits, Ayub Khan, he started the petition to have this game struck off, backed by Jeremy Corbyn, of course, the independent MP now, who previously had been put before the European Convention of Human Rights on charges of racism, which he denied. Nevertheless, this clearly has a joined-up political element. And putting the football to one side, do you feel that that's an issue here? This is the beginning, not of a football-related movement, but of a political-related movement where Jews in Britain are starting to feel under threat, scared.
Yeah, I think if you're a local MP and you have the possibility of 2,000 tourists visiting your constituency, and Aston isn't a hotbed of tourism, this would be a good opportunity for the economy. People would come, they may come back, they'd spend money. You really have to have a problem with Israelis, or let's be honest, Jews, to say, no, I don't want these people coming. Anything but that they're coming. And if it is the exact opposite of what a constituency MP should be doing, and the fact that he was brazen about it and no one said, well, hang on a minute, is very troubling and would fit in with a lot of the British Jewish experience. Not all of it by any means, but quite a lot of it that friends and family are experiencing every day.
Elliot Pollock, you talked there about the relentless, over now 2 years of protests on the streets of Britain, a lot of it in London, also in Birmingham, Manchester, Glasgow, over in Ireland as well. We've now seen this political movement, and we're seeing the gathering of the Green Party, of Jeremy Corbyn's emerging Your Party. We've seen a surge in anti-Semitic hate crimes on British streets. Is Britain becoming a genuinely fearful place now for British Jews?
I think most Jews in their day-to-day lives, where they go to work, they come home, will not experience anti-Semitism and will reiterate what a wonderful and free country this is. I think in certain sectors, so if you're a student in university, you might need a guard with you. There's crazy things going on in universities that people aren't aware of. So it's very concentrated. So if you're in certain areas, certain professions, or certain universities, your life is defined by this. But for the vast majority of British Jews, there aren't day-to-day situations. I came in tonight with my kip up. I was not scared. There was no problem. So I think it's important to focus where the problem is rather than make it out that it's a more general problem. There's a problem within very specific areas, which is truly disastrous.
OK, Elliot, thank you very much. Let's bring my panel in now. Nigel Nelson and Jane Stevenson. Nigel, I'm going to turn to you first. Clearly, the Jewish community there are concerned about what's been going on. Is this really about football, or do you think it's more about something else?
Well, it's obviously about something else. I mean, I would rather see a situation where politics doesn't get tangled up with events which are non-political. And you mentioned the Eurovision Song Contest, that as well. Eurovision Song Contest, football, politics should be out of it. However, you've got to balance that with people's right to protest. So if people disagree with that particular view, I wish no protesters turned up at that match tonight. I wish the Israeli fans had been welcomed here. But if people choose to protest, we've got to allow that right to go ahead.
And it's worth pointing out, Jane Stevenson, that the position of the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, he wanted the fans to come in, and he thinks that the decision taken has been a mistake. So in defence of Sir Keir Starmer, he didn't want to see tonight's events happen, but they have. And isn't that the point, Jane Stevenson? There is a feeling here that the pro-Palestine mob, they won't stop And every victory like this gives them more spring in their stride to carry on their movement.
Yeah, and we've seen over the past 2 years, we've seen protests by the cenotaph that were completely inappropriate, but the government has not stood up to them. We've seen Labour politicians. We saw that video of Angela Rayner going and begging for votes in her Muslim community. They have traditionally had the Muslim vote in Britain. Now there are some alternative parties, Jeremy Corbyn's party or this independent MP. I find it really sad that a multicultural city like Birmingham, a Jewish fan is not safe to turn up and watch a football match. Any British person should be safe to go and watch a sports match in our country, and that's clearly not the case. And it's terrifying to say Jewish people are being penned in to a guarded place to stand and make their voice heard tonight. Very sad.
On that political point, Jane Stevenson, we are seeing the emergence of independents like Ayub Khan. They stood on a pro-Gaza ticket. They got elected last time around. They're expected to morph into Jeremy Corbyn's Your Party. We're also seeing Zach Polanski's Green Party with a few, let's face it, questionable, more hardline Islamic candidates. Are you concerned that we might be seeing, as Nigel Farage has predicted, the emergence of a more sectarian, faith-based politics in the United Kingdom?
Absolutely, and because of the way communities tend to bunch together and because of our parliamentary system, I think we will see that sort of voting and we will see that sort of representation in Parliament. But I've knocked on doors for local elections and had a Muslim lady who was perfectly nice, but just say, I can't vote for any of the parties because of Gaza. And it's like, this is about your bins. This is about your local government services. And I think that's really sad. You know, this is our government in our country. And I think, yes, protest if you feel very strongly about Gaza. Of course you want to make your voice heard. But there are other ways to do that. And I think everybody needs to be engaged in our politics, our local and national government.
Nigel Nelson, do you think it's, I don't know, dog whistle or racist of people like me to like say, wow, we are seeing here an emerging Muslim political movement? It's like, well, what are you concerned about? People are allowed to form communities, they're allowed to vote. Or is this the antithesis of what we're expected to believe? Live pictures on your screen there of Villa Park. We can see the temperature seems to be rising somewhat. This is the pro-Palestine side. Are we seeing the emergence of something that people should feel maybe a bit concerned about?
I think people have a right to decide how they're going to vote. If they do it on a religious basis, that because they're Muslims or Christians or whatever, that's their choice. In America, it's very much on the lines of religion. So there are a whole variety of ways you can decide to vote. I think that, I mean, Jane mentions it's unfortunate that people are more concerned about Gaza than their local politics, but that's their right. If that is an issue that really concerns them, and they can vote for somebody who shares their views, they have the right to do so.
OK, we have to leave it there. Just to repeat, live pictures on your screen there from Villa Park as the protest continues to rage on the streets of Birmingham. Thanks to my guests. That's the chairman of the Jewish Villains, Aston Villa Jewish Supporters Club, Elliot Pollock, as well as my panel, of course, and that is Nigel Nelson and Jane Stevenson. Thank you very much. Now, coming up in just a moment's time, brand new analysis has revealed that the Home Office grossly underestimated the number of migrants settling in the UK after Brexit by a whopping 1.7 million. That's next.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good evening. This is your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Through the next 24 hours, it's going to be pretty cloudy for many of us. There will be a bit of rain around as well, and temperatures, if anything, are going to be dropping a little bit because we do have slightly fresher air coming in from the west. So whilst those temperatures will still be above average for the time of year, it's going to be a little bit less mild. Through the evening and overnight, a lot of cloud for many places. Some clear spells here and there, but most places sticking with the cloudy skies. A few outbreaks of showery rain around as well, particularly towards the southeast later on in the night as we head towards dawn. Now, because there will be quite a bit of cloud, it is going to be another mild night, but with that fresher air, and especially where we get some clear spells, well, it is going to be a touch chillier than it was last night. Starting off tomorrow morning then, a few showers across some parts of central Scotland. Further east and west, a drier start and some early sunshine as well. A few showers across parts of Northern Ireland, but also a couple of sunny breaks. Similar story across parts of northern England. It's down the eastern side of England though. Here it's looking quite wet for some places as that heavier showery rain across the southeast pushes its way northwards. A drier start to the day across parts of Wales and western England. However, there is another band of rain that's going to sweep its way in from the southwest. That's going to make its way northeastwards. Could turn a bit heavy at times, particularly across parts of South Wales. We're talking 20-30 millimetres of rain in a few hours, so that could cause some localised impacts. Away from those two zones of
Welcome back to Farage with me, your host tonight, Martin Dorby. On a previous story there, the protest at Villa Park. Lisa says this: allowing them to protest doesn't give them the right to dictate who can and can't attend a football match in Britain. Sadly, that's what happened. So let's get back into our next story now, and it's this. New analysis from the Centre for Migration Control has revealed that the Home Office's shocking blunder in underestimating the number of migrants who settled in the UK post-Brexit by a staggering 1.7 million people. Yes, when we left the EU, we created a resettlement scheme as a means of allowing European immigrants to stay in the country. And while the Home Office predicted a mere 4.1 million migrants would use the scheme, in reality, the number was a staggering 5.8 million people. Well, so much for taking back control. I'm joined now by the man who uncovered this story. That's the Research Director for the Centre for Migration Control. That's Rob Bates, of course, as well as my panel. GB News' senior political commentator Nigel Nelson and the former Conservative MP Jane Stevenson. Rob, another corking exclusive from you at the Centre for Migration Control. They don't know what they're doing. Once again, the numbers completely wrong.
Yeah, well, I think anyone looking at the Home Office's performance over the last couple of years would realise they don't have a clue what is going on, especially when it comes to the border. So, look, we voted to leave the European Union primarily because people were sick of freedom of movement. They were sick of foreign nationals being able to access the British welfare state. So the Prime Minister got given a massive mandate to go negotiate with Europe. The first thing she did was agree to this settlement scheme, which effectively allows individuals that were here in the country, even if they weren't making an economic contribution, to begin accessing universal credit, to begin accessing effectively all the rights to the British citizen.
This is Theresa May at the time,
This is Theresa May, although Boris Johnson and his negotiating team did continue with this premise. And unfortunately, what we've seen is the Home Office woefully underestimated actually how many people, A, there were in the country that were European nationals that would be able to use this scheme, and B, actually then the take-up that there would be of that scheme. And the result is that we've got 1.7 million more people having used the EU settlement scheme than were forecast. And this is part of the reason why we see figures such as those produced by the Department for Work and Pensions, which shows nearly 800,000 individuals, foreign nationals, claiming universal credit. They're doing so under the rights of the EU settlement scheme. So if we want to have a proper conversation about how we bring down the welfare bill and the amount of money that we are giving to foreign nationals, we need to get back to the negotiating table and start really hashing out the EU settlement scheme and the withdrawal agreement.
OK, Rob Bates, as well as a spectacular, almost Diane Abbott level use of mathematics, again, the numbers completely wrong, this clearly has financial implications. First of all, the actual methodology of implementing the system had a huge cost. I understand it cost the government something between 655 and 800 million pounds to administer. That was just the admin cost. But what about the knock-on cost? Presumably all these people could be qualifying for British benefits.
So they will be, once they get given settled status, and even if they have pre-settled status, in many instances they are eligible for universal credit. We see certain nationalities in particular being more likely to actually make use of that ability. Poles, Bulgarians, Romanians, hundreds of millions of pounds every single year going to individuals that are using this scheme. But the bigger problem actually is the fact that this scheme isn't just being used by Europeans. There's hundreds of thousands of individuals from outside of Europe that have been able to sneak in effectively by claiming they're a family member of someone from a European nation. And, you know, we're seeing again tens of thousands of individuals from outside of Europe, from places such as India, Pakistan, Somalia, being able to access the British welfare system because of this incredibly cack-handed monolith of a system that did not need to be created in the way that it was.
We use the phrase often on GB News, the lunatics have taken over the asylum system. This is more evidence that the Home Office hasn't got a Scooby-Doo what it's doing.
Yeah, it is a system that is no longer fit for purpose. It needs to be completely torn up. It needs to be split in half. We need to have a proper functioning government department that just looks at issues of immigration and has immigration as the only consideration that it has to deal with. Because unfortunately, the Home Office, time and time again in recent decades, has just shown it gets the numbers wrong. It really actually doesn't put the interests of the British public first. And it's very happy to continue with this kind of malaise and this mass migration experiment that increasingly we've seen the electorate getting really sick up to the back teeth of.
Rob Bass, do you have any faith that the current regime, and let's be honest, the previous regime didn't do a great job either. Do you have any faith that the current regime could grasp the nettle and sort this mess out?
Look, Starmer negotiating with Europe and trying to go in the back for Britain, I think that's very unlikely. But also, unfortunately, I think the Conservative Party, we saw Katie Lamb coming out and saying actually that this is an issue that probably does need to be re-looked at. We've seen them somewhat, I think, trying to row back on that. And the EU settlement scheme, for some reason in public discourse at the moment, is seen as something that is untouchable and can't be broached. Well, unfortunately, it is something that we do need to have a proper, frank conversation about.
Nigel Nelson, get a response from you. Every single day on this show, fresh revelations come out about the Home Office. Is it just finally time to admit they're a chocolate teapot? They're not fit for purpose.
I think the Home Office is a mess in a bottle. You're absolutely right. I do have some family skin in this game because it was my wife, Claire, who helped design the settlement scheme when she worked at the Home Office.
Why didn't you just admit that on national television? You're about to go home to her. You can get teeth from that.
I think she'll be quite happy. I hope she has got some tea at home when I get back there. And one of the problems they had at the time was that, no, they couldn't estimate the number of people, that the 3 million group, which represented EU migrants in this country, thought it was around about 3 million. The census figures didn't help. So it was very hard to actually work out what the figures were. So it was just an estimate. Now we have a situation, the official figures are 5.7 million, either with settled status or with pre-settled status. They have to be here for 5 years. Question is, why are we bothered about that? These are people who are paying taxes. They are people who often have lived here for a long time. 60,000 last year.
That's a generous interpretation.
Well, 60,000 last year got British citizenship. So these are people who are contributing to our economy. So why should there be a problem, even if the figures are a bit higher than we thought they were originally?
Is that the case?
Well, a couple of 100,000. In fact, half of the people that are claiming universal credit because they have settled status under the EU settlement scheme aren't actually in work at all, unfortunately, because we have to treat them as if they're British citizens, thanks to the withdrawal agreement. There's not actually much we can do about that situation at the moment. So, and this is across the board, actually. This is not just European migration, it's also non-European migration as well. Most of those that are coming into the country and then eventually claiming universal credit aren't working, and that's a really big problem that we need to be very frank about. If they're coming here and making use of the British welfare state, I really don't see the justification for them being allowed to stay.
OK, Jane Stevenson, quick nibble from you on this one.
Yeah, it's very difficult. They're clearly, someone described it as whack-a-mole, because whatever route you try and close down or restrict, like the student with dependents route, another route will open up and people will find a loophole. We are a fantastic country to live in, and many, many people, millions of people, would like to come and live here. It hasn't been a robust enough system by a long way. It's going to be a real challenge to go back to adjust settled status or the indefinite leave to remain status as well. But that is the challenge. And we look at housing, we look at all sorts of restrictions on the amount of people that can naturally, gradually add to a population. We sailed through that so long ago.
OK, we have to leave it there. Thank you very much, Rob Bates. Excellent as ever, another great exclusive. Thanks for giving it to us here on Farage, and of course Nigel Nelson and Jane Stevenson. Now, just to repeat, we have repeatedly contacted the Home Office throughout the course of the day for a response. Nothing yet. If you're listening in, Home Office, please get back to us. We would love to read out your response before the end of the show. Now, prisoners on our streets. And where is our Prime Minister? Well, he's off on his jollies. Once again, the man they call Jet Set Stormer, never here, Kia. This time, he's in Brazil for the COP30.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, we've got some wet weather moving into Portugal through Friday, showers across the Mediterranean, but if you're heading away on the weekend, it is looking much drier across parts of the Med. In the Canaries, plenty of dry and sunny weather. That wet weather spreading into parts of Portugal and through the Mediterranean. We've got an area of low pressure bringing wet weather towards Italy as well as further east as well. But as I said, into the weekend, it is looking much drier with plenty of sunshine and temperatures in the mid-20s in Tenerife.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Good evening. This is your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Through the next 24 hours, it's going to be pretty cloudy for many of us. There will be a bit of rain around as well, and temperatures, if anything, are going to be dropping a little bit because we do have slightly fresher air coming in from the west. So whilst those temperatures will still be above average for the time of year, it's going to be a little bit less mild. Through the evening and overnight, a lot of cloud for many places. Some clear spells here and there, but most places sticking with the cloudy skies. A few outbreaks of showery rain around as well, particularly towards the southeast later on in the night as we head towards dawn. Now, because there will be quite a bit of cloud, it is going to be another mild night, but with that fresher air, and especially where we get some clear spells, well, it is going to be a touch chillier than it was last night. Starting off tomorrow morning then, a few showers across some parts of central Scotland. Further east and west, a drier start and some early sunshine as well. A few showers across parts of Northern Ireland, but also a couple of sunny breaks. Similar story across parts of northern England. It's down the eastern side of England though. Here it's looking quite wet for some places as that heavier showery rain across the southeast pushes its way northwards. A drier start to the day across parts of Wales and western England. However, there is another band of rain that's going to sweep its way in from the southwest. That's going to make its way northeastwards. Could turn a bit heavy at times, particularly across parts of South Wales. We're talking 20-30 millimetres of rain in a few hours, so that could cause some localised impacts. Away from those two zones of wet weather, it will be often dry with some sunshine, but temperatures, if anything, a few degrees down compared to some recent days because of that fresher air I mentioned at the start. A quiet start for many on Saturday. Could be a bit of mist and fog around first thing, but lots of dry and rather sunny weather at times too. But there will be some rain towards the far west, and that's going to push its way eastwards as we go through the weekend. So I think Sunday's looking a bit wetter for many of us, but still relatively mild. Bye-bye.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
yeah, that's style we're doing there. Cha-cha-cha, and welcome back to Farage to be your host, Martin Daubney. Now, we have convicts who have been mistakenly released from Nick, roaming the streets of Britain. But where is our beloved Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, I hear you ask? Well, of course, he's thousands of miles away, deep in the Brazilian rainforest, attending the COP30 climate summit. And while he champions the net zero agenda on the world stage, this marks his 40th foreign trip in just 16 months. Here's a snippet of what he had to say earlier on today.
So the UK is doubling down on the fight against climate change. As an investment in future generations, yes, of course. But also crucially, as an investment in improving the lives of working people here and now.
That's Keir Starmer, looking a bit older and perhaps a bit more grey. Well, I'm joined now in the studio by my panel, GBNews senior political commentator Nigel Nelson and the former Conservative MP Jane Stevenson. Let's start with you, Nigel. COP30. The previous 29 did nothing. What's the point of this one?
Well, they've been doing an awful lot. I mean, we now have a target for net zero, which will be 2050. Britain is contributing to that. It's quite right the Prime Minister should be there and at other international summits, apart from the fact he needs to talk to other world leaders, which is what the Prime Minister's job partly is.
Yeah, but hang on, China aren't there.
No,
America aren't there.
No, you're right, North India.
Aren't there.
And they should be.
Don't give them two cahoots.
And they should be. But France, Germany, Thailand, Pakistan are there, so we can talk to the leaders there. But the important thing is we have to take climate change seriously. So COP is the time to do that. We're not giving the Brazilian rainforest the $1 billion that Brazil wanted. So Keir Starmer might have had a bit of a frosty reception when he got there.
Well,
but
why not? Should he give billions to Brazilian rainforest when pensioners are going cold in Britain?
Exactly what Rachel Reeves said to him, on the basis that we should be actually spending money that will grow our economy and for the benefit of Britain, reduce the cost of living. So anyway, we didn't give the money, but it is important to have our Prime Minister there on the world stage leading the way.
Jane Stevenson, isn't this an example of like a luxury belief system? Helping rainforests in Brazil when pensioners are freezing cold in Britain. They've got the priorities wrong.
Absolutely, and nothing says I love the planet more than getting on a jet plane and travelling tens of thousands of miles to talk about climate change. They could have had an online summit if they wanted to chat about this. China, India, US, all these big polluters.
Just to interject there, Jane Stevenson, if I could, these are live pictures from Villa Park. Of course, there's a significant protest there from pro-Palestine protesters. We believe as many as 1,000 police, we heard from our man Josh Howie on the ground. That was meant to be 700 West Midlands police officers. This is a protest, of course, against the fans from Maccabi Tel Aviv being allowed to come. They didn't come. Their club withheld tickets on the understanding their fans may not be safe. Perhaps seeing these scenes, that's an understandable reaction. The temperature is rising. The mood doesn't look particularly attractive. A huge crowd gathered there, the police forming a line, a protective line. We heard a short while ago there are perhaps mere tens of Jewish protesters, a counter-protest, a very small protest. They're penned in on the opposite side of the stadium, but a much bigger mob of pro-Palestine protesters now seem to be growing in numbers. For now, Nigel Nelson, the police are maintaining order, but this could get out of control very quickly.
Yeah, let's hope it remains peaceful. I mean, you can see that it looks a bit tense at the moment, but we can't see any actual violence. So it is at the moment a sort of fingers crossed stage.
Now, don't forget, of course, we are expecting thousands. This is a normal football match. The away fans have been withheld, but the home fans haven't. So there'll be thousands and thousands of Aston Villa fans who don't care about politics. So I think the club has kept a very clean sheet on this topic. It's maintained steadfastly neutral on this point. Thousands of fans will be trying to get into an everyday football fixture, Jane Stevenson. And this mob, here we go, I think we can see a couple of people being scooped out of there now, being maintained by the police. We don't need this sort of nonsense going on at British football matches.
We don't know, and it's really sad. I just hope the police are all safe and well, trying to cope with this. It is completely inappropriate. I think there should have been an exclusion zone around the ground. That looks really close to Villa Park.
Then we can see there some Union flags from one side of the police cordon. A lot of press gathered there, as you'd imagine. The very nature of these protests, Nigel Nelson, is one of containment and exclusion. That's what policing does. And I put it to you, if you police an ordinary football match, I go to a lot of football matches, I go to some tasty football matches, and the police can and often do escort and walk in away fans, away from home fans at a separate time, way before kick-off. They can maintain them in the ground after kick-off. You can reasonably and safely and routinely and easily get around this kind of thing. But I put it to you, Nigel, that the police have created a bottleneck here. They've created a situation where all these people have been hemmed into one area at the same time.
Well, again, by not being there, we can't actually see what is going on. What it appears to be is that the police are actually separating different groups, which is what the police should be doing.
Okay, so
but the police have enough to do with the crowd attending the football match. This is putting protesters in the same place, stretching the police, who are very skilled at policing football matches. They should be in Birmingham City Centre, somewhere completely separate.
OK, we have to leave it there. Live pictures there from Villa Park. Much more on this story, an emerging story, a tense situation there at Villa Park after the break. Stick with us.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray, are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it. Don't get us on the BBC. Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos. What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock, only on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Farage. With me tonight, your host, Martin Daubney. Let's get back now. We've got live pictures at Villa Park. Just to remind you, of course, the away fans, the Israeli team, we can see there now, mounted horse mounted police officers moving in, and the police starting to show their muscle. We believe a significant police presence. We heard from our man Josh Howie on the ground. Could be as many as 1,000 police officers. The official number was 700. Of course, as well as West Midlands Police Force, we understand external forces have been drafted in to assist. That is routine. You can see on your screen now a significant body of pro-Palestine protesters. Earlier on, they've been protesting vociferously, not just about what they believe was the correct decision to not allow Israeli fans to travel to this match. The club, Maccabi Tel Aviv, took the decision not to administer tickets to their fans on grounds of safety. Many people believe that that was a sign that the mob had won. Live pictures here, you can see now a significant mob of pro-Palestine fans right outside Villa Park. Now, if you understand football in any capacity, it's about thousands of fans trying to get in and out of a ground to watch a match peacefully and without the hindrance of any counter-protest. Normally, away fans can be chaperoned in with a police ring, if necessary, early before kick-off, before the home fans get anywhere near it. They can be kept behind for a significant period so the home fans get away. This is routinely done in football. The police decided not to do that. They allowed this protest to go ahead, and now we've got pictures on our screens of mounted coppers forming up, riot vans forming up, and police forming cordons. You can tell by the noise that the atmosphere is getting significantly tense. This should never have been allowed to get to this stage, because it could have been safely looked at in a way a normal football match is. Let's bring my panel in for a quick comment. Former Conservative MP Jane Stevenson, you're a Wolves fan. You know this manner.
Yeah, absolutely.
This shouldn't be happening.
Absolutely not. And the police have a difficult job to do at football matches, but they are skilled at managing crowds. But to have a protest at Villa Park, I think it's extremely reckless. But the MP who started the petition to ban Maccabi Tel Aviv fans is also a councillor in the area, and it was him and a fellow councillor. I think he sat with the Liberal Democrats until someone pointed out to Ed Davey he had quite a strange councillor in Birmingham. But the local area is not open. It's quite a contained area where Villa Park is. I've been to the ground a few times. I hope the police are safe and the horses and you know, I hope it doesn't kick off, but the kick-off is about to happen. So maybe that noise is a sort of signal into the ground that they want to make their protest heard before kick-off as the teams are coming out.
Of course, after this show tonight is State of the Nation. Sir Jacob Rees-Mogg has just hove interview. Sir Jacob, you join us. Looking at these scenes here at Villa Park and putting the football to one side, do you think the mob has won tonight?
I don't think the mob has won. The police seem to have it under control. I don't think the mob can ever be allowed to win. But what I think is worrying is what this shows about our country and the sectarian nature of what has been happening recently, particularly, obviously, since the 7th of October 2023. And for some strange reason, a massacre of Jewish people in Israel has led to an extraordinary upsurge in support for Palestinian propaganda.
So, Jacob, just want to interject. I've just learned there have now been 6 arrests at this match. 6 arrests thus far. In fact, we saw a short while ago protagonists being scooped from the crowd. That's a routine way that police operate. They spot trouble calls, they scoop them out. 6 arrests, we believe, thus far, to Jacob. And whenever you see mounted bobbies forming up like this, you're naturally concerned that this is reaching, we fear, perhaps some further escalation.
Well, the police, as I say, do seem to have it under control. I'm rather surprised their horses are lit up like Christmas trees, which looks most peculiar, and I can't think how that helps keep order. But the mounted police are very experienced. They know what they're doing. The police are very competent at maintaining order when they're there in time, and they clearly knew this was going to happen. 6 arrests isn't an enormous number. It's not as many people have been arrested at other protests. So I think one's got to look at it proportionately. But I am worried that we've got sectarian members of parliament, we've got sectarian protests in a country that has been very gentle in recent decades over the sectarian issue, very at peace with itself. And I think it'd be a great pity if that were to change.
And isn't that the point? A lot of people are suspecting, Sir Jacob, this was never really about football. I don't think it's about football. I think it's about politics. It's football as a political football. It's another way of the pro-Palestine brigade flexing their muscles and showing that they're the ones who are in control.
Yes, I think that's right. I don't think this is about football at all. Indeed, if it were about football, you wouldn't be asking me, would you? It's not something I know very much about. So I think it is clearly about the pro-Palestinian argument, which has been put increasingly aggressively and has been intimidating Jewish people in this country over the last couple of years, and Jewish people are feeling increasingly uncomfortable. And that is a serious problem, and that we have elected sectarian members of parliament is deeply worrying.
And you can see here the sign saying, stop the far right. The far right aren't even there. Stop arming Israel. What's that got to do with football? Kick Israel out of all football. Nigel Nelson, this isn't about football. It's anti-Israel. And I put it to you, this is the mob winning tonight.
Well, I don't think it's the mob winning. I mean, I've been in a lot of riots which I've covered, and this is what happens before the start of them, where the police get themselves into a position to calm everything down. And by the way, I do quite like the police horses being lit up with blue flashing lights. I think it's rather fetching, in fact.
Jolly, yeah.
But you're absolutely right. It is about politics.
OK, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much. Tense scenes there outside Villa Park. Up next, State of the Nation with Sir Jacob Rees-Mogg. Thanks to my panel, Jane Stevenson, Nigel Nelson. I'll be back tomorrow, 3 till 6. See you then.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good evening. This is your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Through the next 24 hours, it's going to be pretty cloudy for many of us. There will be a bit of rain around as well, and temperatures, if anything, are going to be dropping a little bit because we do have slightly fresher air coming in from the west. So whilst those temperatures will still be above average for the time of year, it's going to be a little bit less mild. Through the evening and overnight, a lot of cloud for many places. Some clear spells here and there, but most places sticking with the cloudy skies. A few outbreaks of showery rain around as well, particularly towards the southeast later on in the night as we head towards dawn. Now, because there will be quite a bit of cloud, it is going to be another mild night, but with that fresher air, and especially where we get some clear spells, well, it is going to be a touch chillier than it was last night. Starting off tomorrow morning then, a few showers across some parts of central Scotland. Further east and west, a drier start and some early sunshine as well. A few showers across parts of Northern Ireland, but also a couple of sunny breaks. Similar story across parts of Northern England. It's down the eastern side of England though. Here it's looking quite wet for some places as that heavier showery rain across the southeast pushes its way northwards. A drier start to the day across parts of Wales and western England. However, there is another band of rain that's going to sweep its way in from the southwest. That's going to make its way northeastwards. Could turn a bit heavy at times, particularly across parts of South Wales. We're talking 20-30 millimetres of rain in a few hours, so that could cause some localised impacts. Away from those two zones of wet weather, it will be often dry with some sunshine, but temperatures, if anything, a few degrees down compared to some recent days because of that fresher air I mentioned at the start. A quiet start for many on Saturday. Could be a bit of mist and fog around first thing, but lots of dry and rather sunny weather at times too. But there will be some rain towards the far west, and that's going to push its way eastwards as we go through the weekend. So I think Sunday's looking a bit wetter for many of us, but still relatively mild. Bye-bye.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
We could be delivering the perfect Christmas to you this year. There's £30,000 in tax-free cash to make 2026 the best year yet. A further £10,000 cash to spend on gifts for all the family. There's £1,000